I want to show you 2 tips in your refinement process that can really help you get that final bit of perfection, as much as it's attainable, um, corrected or achieved. So let me show you. Uh, this is the way the patient started. Now, what you're looking at here, I have to toggle down. This is where the patient is now. Now, if you look carefully, you see that little bit of the difference of the movement that's played out. So I'm going to leave my cursor here, and I'm going to show you the right is where the patient is. Now, at a quick glance, these teeth are perfectly aligned. And I think this is even a very acceptable result with Invisalign. But what I want to point out, and again, I can't move the cursor, but if you compare the upper left one, or tooth number 9, and that is the central incisor that is on the right as you're looking at the screen, the patient's left, you can notice how it was distinctly rotated in on the mesial. So this is a very good tip when you're doing a refinement to always have in front of you the way the patient started, because this is going to sort of inform me and maybe bias me. And if I really wanted to be super critical, I now can see that the upper right central, or tooth number 8, the left central as you're looking at the screen, is slightly out. And so you see that little correction of moving it in? Now, I wouldn't call this overcorrection, but I guess you're just making sure you have nailed it. And even if doing this makes the left central come out a tiny bit more, which indeed would be what we call overcorrection, it's so minor, it's almost better to finish a case that way, because I always tell patients, and I've told everyone out there on the internet, that even if you wear your retainer really well, you're always going to have a slight bit of relapse on a very minor level at best. Just like somebody who would lose 50 pounds might gain 3 pounds back a year later and still look amazing. So that's one tip. Always have in front of you the way the teeth were at the beginning, so you can make sure that you're looking to correct the biggest problem. And the other tip is, I almost missed this, and I'm telling my patient about this link. Don't worry, I would never miss anything. Is notice how the centrals are intruding. Now, that degree of intrusion is so minimal and not clinically significant, not really necessary at all, and it's going to add a little bit of unpredictability, or it's going to add more of a challenge, because aligners work best when you're asking them to do one thing as opposed to numerous things. They work best when they're working kind of in one plane. So you could actually just say to the technician, don't intrude those, or just for the live modification to save yourself a day, I'm going to manually move them back down. And then I'm going to eyeball it and see if okay, so there's just the tiniest bit of intrusion on the right central. Okay, you see the teeth moving, but you don't see them moving up or down. And at the end of the treatment, I could do a little enamelplasty here if the patient wants. All right, I hope these 2 tips were helpful. Keep your ClinCheck simple, move them in one plane, teeth that is, and also always look at how your teeth started when you're doing those final corrections.